Hello, and welcome to today's session. We're thrilled to have you join us. If you're someone learning English as a second language, or ESL, then this session is especially for you. Learning a new language is no small feat, and as many of you might already know, it comes with its share of challenges. Whether you're a beginner or have been studying English for years, you've probably faced some difficulties along the way. Today, we're going to talk about the big challenges that ESL students often face when learning English, and more importantly, how you can overcome them. As a language coach, I've worked with many students from all walks of life, and I've seen a range of challenges they face. From mastering complex grammar rules to improving pronunciation, and even just building the confidence to speak, learning English can sometimes feel like a long and difficult journey. But it's not all bad news, because with the right approach, these challenges can be overcome. And that's exactly what we're going to explore today. I'm passionate about helping ESL learners break down barriers and find practical ways to improve their skills. So, in today's session, we'll walk through some of the biggest struggles that ESL students encounter. We'll dive into these challenges with real-life examples, and, most importantly, I'll share actionable tips and strategies to help you overcome them. Before we jump in, I want you to remember that you're not alone in this journey. Learning a language is tough, but it's also incredibly rewarding. So, let's dive into the challenges and take a closer look at how you can tackle them head-on. Challenge 1. Understanding English grammar. One of the biggest hurdles for ESL students is understanding English grammar. English grammar rules can be confusing and at times seem inconsistent. Unlike many other languages, English has many exceptions to the rules, which can leave learners feeling frustrated. Concrete. Example. Take the past tense of irregular verbs, for example. While in many languages, past tense forms are regular and follow a predictable pattern, English is full of irregular verbs like go becoming went or eat becoming ate. There's no simple rule to follow here. You just have to memorize the exceptions. For many ESL students, this feels like a huge challenge. For instance, if you've been studying English for a while, you've probably noticed the inconsistency in verb forms. The verb catch becomes caught, but teach becomes taught. Why? There's no clear reason. English just works this way. And this is one of the many grammar challenges students face. To help with this, I recommend breaking things down into manageable sections. Instead of focusing on all the irregular verbs at once, start with a few that are commonly used. For example, focus on verbs like go, have, and see. By using them in simple sentences every day, you can start to internalize their forms, making it easier to remember and use them correctly. Challenge 2. Pronunciation and accents. Pronunciation is another common obstacle for ESL students. English pronunciation can be tricky, especially because it's not always consistent with the way words are spelled. If you've ever looked at a word and had no idea how to pronounce it, you're not alone. Concrete. Example. Think about the word though. It's pronounced tho, but the way it's spelled doesn't match that sound at all. Or consider the word kernel, which is pronounced like kernel. For someone learning English, it's easy to get confused by these seemingly random patterns. Pronunciation is especially difficult because English has so many different accents. If you're learning British English, for example, you might find that the pronunciation of certain words is quite different from how they're pronounced in American English. This is a challenge many ESL students face. How to understand and be understood when there are so many variations in pronunciation. One way to improve your pronunciation is by practicing with native speakers. But if you don't have that opportunity, listen to sessions, watch TV shows, or follow YouTube channels that use the type of English you want to master. By listening to these examples, you'll become more familiar with the correct sounds and rhythm of English. Another tip is to record yourself speaking in English and compare it to native speakers. This can help you identify areas where you need improvement. Over time, your pronunciation will become more accurate, and you'll gain more confidence when speaking. Challenge 3. Building vocabulary. Learning new vocabulary is another major challenge ESL students face. There are thousands of words in the English language, and learning them all can seem overwhelming. Plus, many words have multiple meanings depending on the context, which can make things even more complicated. Concrete example. Consider the word bank. It can refer to a place where you keep your money, but it can also mean the side of a river. Or take the word bat. It could be an animal, or it could be a piece of sports equipment. Understanding how words can change meaning based on context is a skill that takes time and practice to develop. The good news is that there are ways to build your vocabulary effectively. One of the best strategies is to focus on words that are used most frequently in everyday English. For example, learning common nouns, adjectives, and verbs will help you understand and participate in daily conversations. And don't forget to practice using these words in sentences to reinforce their meanings. A great technique for expanding your vocabulary is to read regularly. Reading articles, books, or even short stories in English exposes you to new words in context. You can make it a habit to underline or note down words you don't know, and then look up their meanings later. Challenge 4. Listening and comprehension. Listening comprehension is another challenge that many ESL students struggle with. It can be difficult to understand spoken English, especially if the speaker talks quickly or uses slang. The speed at which native speakers talk can leave learners feeling lost and discouraged. Concrete example. Imagine you're watching a movie in English, and the characters are speaking very quickly. At first, it might be hard to catch every word. You might hear, "What's up?" and think, "Wait, what did they just say?" Because it sounds like a jumble of words. This is a common experience for many ESL learners. To improve your listening skills, try listening to content that's designed for learners. There are many sessions, videos, and audiobooks that speak slowly and clearly, which can help you get used to the rhythm of English. And as you improve, you can gradually increase the speed at which you listen. The more you practice, the easier it will become to understand spoken English. Another tip is to use subtitles. You can watch videos with English subtitles, which will allow you to see the words as they're being spoken. This helps reinforce the connection between the sounds and the written words, improving both your listening and reading skills. Challenge 5. Speaking with confidence. Perhaps one of the biggest challenges for ESL students is speaking with confidence. Many students feel afraid or embarrassed to speak English, especially when they're not yet fluent. They worry about making mistakes or being judged by others. But confidence in speaking is key to improving your language skills. Concrete. Example: let's say you're in a conversation with a native English speaker. You want to say something, but you hesitate because you're worried about making a mistake. You might think, what if I say something wrong? What if they don't understand me? This fear is very common, but it's important to push through it. One way to overcome this challenge is to practice speaking every day, even if it's just for a few minutes. You could practice with a language partner or even speak to yourself in English. Start with simple sentences, and over time, you'll become more comfortable with speaking. The key is to remember that making mistakes is part of the learning process. No one speaks perfectly, and the more you speak, the better you'll get. Challenge 6. Finding time to practice. Finally, one of the biggest obstacles that many ESL students face is finding the time to practice. Between work, school, family, and other commitments, it can be hard to carve out time to study English. Concrete example: if you work full-time or go to school, you might feel like there's never enough time in the day. You want to learn English, but there's just no room in your schedule for long study sessions. The good news is that you don't need to spend hours a day studying. Instead, focus on finding small windows of time throughout your day. For example, you could listen to a session during your commute, practice speaking for 5 minutes in the morning, or read an article during your lunch break. The key is to make English a part of your daily routine, even in small ways. As we've discussed today, there are several big challenges that ESL students face in their journey to learn English. From understanding grammar to overcoming fears about speaking, each obstacle can seem difficult. But remember, these challenges are not insurmountable. With the right strategies and consistent practice, you can make significant progress. I encourage you to focus on one challenge at a time and tackle it step by step. And remember, you're not alone. Every language learner goes through similar struggles. With patience, practice, and persistence, you'll be able to overcome these challenges and continue improving your English skills. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you found this session helpful. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review. I'd love to hear about your own challenges and how you're overcoming them in your language journey. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and remember, every step forward is progress.